let's all take some time here to think about a favorite memory you have of your parents. Just if sometimes it's hard, but in a conference like this, just maybe close your eyes or think about a favorite memory you have. And then if you want to, you can write a phrase down that just sort of represents that memory. So one of the memories that I cherish with my family, with my parents, is when we went on a float trip. So I would write down float trip. So just think about that for just a moment here. I'm going to give you some time. A favorite memory of yours. It doesn't have to be the favorite memory, just a favorite memory. Some of us may not have a specific one. Next, we wanted to think about this, and this is maybe a little bit less pleasing, but is there a memory that you have of your parents that you didn't like? It's a least favorite memory or a worst memory of your parents. And you don't have to share that with the group, obviously, but think about that memory as well and write that down. And we're going to use this in an exercise here in just a moment. A phrase representing your worst memory of your parents. Maybe a bad experience you had, or maybe some type of abuse that you experienced. All right, and then the next one, it says, write a phrase representing your favorite memory of your spouse. There's a positive memory here. If you're married, write a memory of your spouse that you cherish and think about. The reason I want to talk about this is these memories that we have, they're precious to us and we hold them dear, and some of them we'd like to forget. But the memories tell us things. They provide us with information, and we're going to go into that a little bit more detail here. But what do these memories tell you? How were they created? That's what we want to talk about. What impacted those memories? Was it a specific location? Maybe it was Disneyland, or maybe it was in your living room. What about a specific situation? Was it a special event? Maybe it was a wedding, or it was a graduation or something like that. There are other impacts that we could have. Money. Does this memory that you recall that's positive of your parents or of your spouse, did it involve a tremendous amount of money? Were there finances involved? Did you have to spend money in order to create that memory? These are things we need to think about. The other one is time. In order to create a memory, obviously we have to have a little bit of time involved, isn't it? So think about the amount of time maybe that was impacting those memories. Now, if you think about the negative memory, did it have to do with maybe distractions or a situation or absence? Maybe one of your worst enemies of your mom or dad or whoever was parenting you is that they weren't around, and so then you consider that to be an absence. Or stress. Was there a stressful situation that ended in some sort of a bad event? So these are the things that you can be thinking about. What do these memories tell you? Has everybody got those done? All right, well, since none of you do, we're going to go on anyway to item number 2. So just turn your page over, and we're going to continue here because I know it's getting late, and we want to wrap this up in about another 3 hours here. So let's go to what are memories? Well, everybody thinks they know what memories are, and I'm not going to tell you something you don't know. One of the great things about my topic is everybody already knows it, so it's a real easy one to give. All right? Well, memories to me are timeless. It's a changeless record. As we recall the video that we just watched of the generational transpiring events that was happening there, what we know is that at the end of the song, by the way, the song is from the perspective of the once boy, then the dad, and now the elderly person who's being taken care of. It's from his perspective, and he's relating about how he wishes things would have been different. And so one of the things about our memories is that they're changeless. We can't go back and erase a memory or make it better or worse. It's a record. Memories don't go away. Some memories are so damaging that full recovery may not be possible. It's difficult when we get into ministry or counseling environments where people are coming with real pain and real hurt. Maybe a sexual abuse has taken place or a physical abuse has taken place in a person's life, maybe as a young child. There are statistics out there that talk about how many children in 3 will experience some sort of abuse. And so when we think about that, memories can be so damaging that full recovery may not be possible. In other words, what children and maybe what you have experienced as a child can be so devastating that you'll live with it for the rest of your life. So as parents, the whole reason we're bringing this negative topic up is we need to be mindful of that, and that when we're dealing with these precious children of ours, we have a very, very important responsibility to help protect them from that kind of a situation. Some memories are so empowering, hope may never be lost. There may be a memory you have that strengthened you as a child that you're going to use throughout your life to push you and propel you to success and to overcoming and to becoming a better and stronger person. Does that make sense? And this is why we're going to talk about that. Memories shape identity. Memories shape identity. Dr. Larry CRABB wrote in his book, Effective Biblical Counseling, that a lot of times deep-seated memories cause people to have faulty thinking. Now, there are 2 basic needs that every human being has that he points out in that book, which is the need for security and for significance. And so one of the things that he does in that book is he's talking about a certain circumstance with this woman. And she's having major problems with her husband, and she comes in for counseling, and she's dealing with her husband who will not discipline her teenager. He's sort of being laissez-faire about it. He's not involving himself. And she's embarrassed because of the behavior of this teenager. And so as she's coming into counseling, what the counselor was able to unravel was that as a child, she was told by her mom to clean the bathroom because company was coming over. And so as a young child, maybe 5 or 6, she's in there and she's cleaning the bathroom, and her mom comes in and she's frustrated, and she says, you're not doing it right, and she's in a stressful environment, and she says, you're more in the way than you are being helpful. No, as I was reading that, I was thinking, I probably said that about umpteen times in my house. Are you hearing me? But that memory stuck with that girl. And as she grew up, she was purposed in her mind that to find security and significance, she needed to please people, and she wanted to do things in such a way that would cause people to be happy with her. And so when the counselor was then looking at this situation she was having with her teenager, it was embarrassing her that her teenager was acting out, that was dealing with her security and significance, and her husband, she blamed him for the problem because he was supposed to be taking care of it. And so we find that our identity is often shaped by these memories. We have deep-seated memories that can change the way we feel about things. Ultimately, the book describes that our sense of security and significance can only be found in the person of Yeshua. But let's continue here. Memories shape our identity. They can give us security versus insecurity. Most of the insecurities that we might have as adults today could be very well linked to experiences we had with our parents as children, with our grandparents as children, or with our friends or a teacher. There are so many people that are constantly speaking into our lives as children, and in our children's time as well. Teachers and friends and influences, people all over are speaking into our children's lives. And so those memories can cause security versus insecurity, confidence versus fear. We see this playing out all the time. And it's generational sometimes. Maybe it's a mom who's dreadfully scared of storms, and so she instills that fear into her children. My mom was that way. When thunderstorms were coming in, my mom would stand at the front porch inside the house at the screen door there, looking at the storm as it was coming in, so that we could go to the basement as soon as we needed to. Now, that's a good motherly instinct, and I certainly appreciate her doing that. But guess who stands at the screen door now when storms roll in? I do. So I remember my mom doing that, and it affected my behavior. Trust versus suspicion. If you have somebody that has a tragic event that happened in their life, they're not going to be very trusting of people. Can you relate to that? Faith versus doubt. Kindness versus cruelty. Memories can start trends in a person's life. Maybe if you come from a house that was filled with stress or yelling or sarcasm, all of these memories are being embedded into your person, and then as an adult, it's teaching you and training you how to behave as an adult. Now, the reason we want to bring this up is because we have an opportunity as parents, don't we? We have an opportunity to shape the identity of our children, to shape the memories that they're going to have. And this message is just as much for me as it is for the next person. Let's go on here. It says, memories are treasures. Good relationships are built on good memories. Good relationships are built on good memories. If you love somebody, or if you cherish somebody, or if you think of somebody that's a good friend of yours or a positive influence, it's probably because you built positive memories together, isn't it? If you think of somebody you don't like, it's probably because you guys share negative experiences together. So good relationships are built on good memories. Good memories endear us to others. It's the glue of relationships. Creating positive memories. You know, if you're in a marriage situation and you're constantly fighting with your wife or your husband and you're constantly bickering, or if you're constantly being lazy or whatever the accusations are, as that continues and it becomes your trend, it may be the only thing of your marriage that you remember. Sure enough, you might remember the good times, but are those good memories enough to carry you through a difficult relationship? So creating good memories endears us to one another. Memories can aid us in the future. We can use our memories to learn from. We can use our memories to grow from. We can use our memories as guidance on where we want to go and how we want to do our business. I want to take a minute here to just talk about memories can aid us in the future. It's an important thing. Maybe you're in the audience and you're a grandparent. Your kids are grown up and memories are, for those people are done, and maybe you have regret, maybe you have positive memories, whatever it may be. Grandparents have a significant impact on the lives of grandchildren. I hope that you know that. Sometimes a grandparent can say something one time and a child will latch onto that, even though mom and dad have been saying that over and over and over again throughout their growing up years. Some of my political views, the way I see the world, and Republican versus Democrat and liberal versus conservative, some of those views I have are because of my grandfather. He was constantly talking about Democrats and how bad those people were. And if you're a Democrat in here, I apologize. But he was constantly talking about that. And so as a young person, I didn't know what he was talking about. But I grew up knowing that my grandmother, who was a Democrat, was probably off a rocker most of the time. And that my grandpa held the best views because he was a conservative. Grandparents, you have a very special role to support and aid your children in the raising of their children. And I hope that you know that those impressions that you leave on people, on your grandchildren, are going to have a lasting effect. And so if you're in the audience and you're a grandparent, this is an important message for you because of the great impact that you can have on your grandchildren. Let's read this next verse before going on to item number 3 here, which says, "Do not say to your neighbor, 'Go and come back, and tomorrow I will give it,' when you have it with you." Now, this proverb can be used in many different ways. But one of the things that I'm seeing here in this proverb as it spoke to me was a lot of times as parents, we get busy. don't we? We had a lot of conversation about that up here. We've got work that we're dealing with. We've got the phone that we're dealing with. We've got maybe you're going to college, or maybe you've got other things going on. Maybe you're working in the assembly or whatever. And so a lot of times our kids will come up and they'll ask us to do things, won't they? And we'll say, well, I can't do that right now. Let's do that later. You had the time right now, but you were doing something else. And so you're putting a level of importance on what you're doing versus what your kids want to do. Now, I'm certainly not encouraging you to go home and be at your kids' beckoning demand. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do, because that's a bad idea. But what I am saying is that do not say to your neighbor, do not say to your kid, go and come back and tomorrow I'll give it when you have it with you today. If you have the time, if you find the time today, do it. And so maybe you've got an hour and they want to play Monopoly, you can opt to do something else because you know it's going to take a little bit more than an hour. But let's go on here as we talk about creating memories. You are consistently making memories. Every experience that we have in life is adding to our memory bank. Okay, now some memories you're not keeping. Maybe it was, it's one of those situations where you can drive to work, and you don't remember the drive at all. Does that make sense? Now, your mind is remembering it, but it's not recalling it. So not every moment of your life is going to be a recallable memory for you. But every moment of your life is creating a memory, and it's being stored somewhere in the vast chasms of your brain. What I want to focus on here is specifically to moms and dads, to grandparents, to husbands and wives, okay? If your wife isn't creating memories with you, she is with someone else. Now, I'm not talking about Larry or Bob here. I'm just talking about memories. My wife and I'd like to create memories with her. She wants to have experiences together. It's a funny theme that we've shared the last few years. She wants to go to this new restaurant. Even though it may be terrible, she wants to go try a new restaurant. And I said, well, why would we want to go there when we could just go to this other restaurant, which we both love, and we've loved for a long time, and we always get good service and good food? What's for the experience? Okay, let's experience it. And some of those experiences are still haunting us to this day. But it was an experience. We created a memory. And those memories we can laugh about later. I remember just on Mother's Day, she wanted to go to this Japanese steakhouse. All right, let's create a memory. So off we go. And we were not satisfied. And so but it was a memory, and we were able, that was on a Sunday, obviously, and the next time we went out together was a Thursday, and we didn't go back to that restaurant. I insisted that we create a different memory. And we went to my favorite restaurant, Underwood's of Brownwood. If you ever have a chance, you just go to Underwood's in Brownwood. Best barbecue beef steak you'll ever get. All right, so creating memories. This is the same with your children. Your wife is not creating memories with you, she's creating memories with her children. A lot of times when children come involved in the family, obviously we see that sometimes the wife and the husband, they become separated. He's focused on job and money, and she's focused on the children. But she's creating memories with the children. Friends. A lot of guys like to have guy time, like to go create memories with their friends. But when you're creating memories with your friends, gentlemen, just remember, you're not creating memories with your wife or your children. Okay? And the family is the same way. Sometimes, wives and husbands, we spend time with our family, as in the extended family, not our specific nucleus family. Your children, if they aren't creating memories with you, they're also creating with someone else. So if you're sending your kids off to public school, and that's the way it has to be for you, just know that you need to be an active member of your children's lives, because if they're not creating memories with you, they're creating memories with other people, their teachers, maybe it's their friends. If your kids are spending all their time at someone else's house, maybe they found a friend at school, or they found a friend in the neighborhood, and they're spending time with that family, then they're not creating memories with your family, they're creating memories with that family. Are you hearing me? It's important that we create memories as a family together, because it endears us to one another. It's things that we can latch onto. You know what I'm talking about whenever you go to like a family reunion, and nobody knows anybody. and it's super awkward. We don't have any memories. In every family reunion, we talk about the same two memories every time. You guys remember way back 1968, and we talk about that every time. Versus another family reunion you go to, and they're all sitting around the dinner table, and they're laughing, and they're carrying on, and they're going from one experience to the next, and everybody's having a great time. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Have you experienced something like that before? Yeah. Nobody wants to be a part of the awkward family that doesn't have anything to talk about. What's your name? I'm Jessica. Where do you live? 3 miles from your house. Yeah, we're first cousins. Never knew. And then after the family reunion, you don't see Jessica until the next family reunion. How you doing? Great. It's awkward. Versus a family that you're connected with and that you're sharing memories with. And then you go and you have a good time together and you can recall those memories. Now, it's one thing that I did appreciate about the environment that I grew up in as a kid, and I remember, and Amanda remembers, as teenagers, when Friday night would come, the Wilson family would gather together at Grandma Flo's house, and we'd play games together. The adults would, the 5 siblings or whoever may have been there. They'd play some Pictionary or play some, never Monopoly, but typically Pictionary, or we'd just sit around and have a good time. We'd sing songs, and those were treasured times. As a matter of fact, I'm confident that's the only reason Amanda married me, because of those precious memories with my family. If she'd have met me now with the family I currently have, she wouldn't know whether we had a good family or not, because we've disconnected from that type of memory creating, some of us have. Now, I'm not calling out my own family. I'm just relating to you that as a young person, we knew that on Friday nights there was a shindig going down on Shabbat, and that was happening at Grandma Flo's house. And everybody and their grandma, literally, was there. It was a good time. We created lasting memories. Who are the most important people in your life? That's a question that I think Scott was raising. Who are the most important people in your life? Well, surely if you're married, you'd say it's your spouse, first person. And then if you've got children, you're going to say it's your children, second. And I'm not talking about the Heavenly Father. Obviously, He's the most important, but I'm talking about people on the earth. Who are the most important people in your life? And if you're a grandparent, you're going to say your children, your grandchildren, okay? So these are the most important people in your life, and now we're going to ask this important question between Hector and Scott. They pretty much laid out my entire seminar for you. How much time do you spend with these people? How much time are you investing in the people that are most important to you? These are rhetorical questions. When you think about these things as we leave here, what I notice about Family Builders Conference is as soon as the Family Builders Conference is over, I immediately go home and I've got goals. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I go home and I've got goals. I know that we're going to eat dinner every single night together. Without fail, I'm going to be the best. We're going to invite family worship. We're going to do some sort of a devotion as a family. I'm going to start paying attention to my kids, and every time they want to play a game, I'm going to play a game with them. Are you hearing me? And that lasts for, 3 days. And then life hits us again. And so what we want to do is we want to create in you the urge and the drive to continue in those good practices. I remember last year when we had Dr. John Garr here, and he was talking about every night you need to be blessing your children. If you were here, you remember him saying that. It was a very important point to him. And I went home with goals, okay? And we had been doing prayer at night, our family had, and so when the kids were in bed, I'd go in and we'd all, kneel on the bed or whatever, and we would pray. So I decided that based on his recommendation, I was going to switch from prayer, which we still do, but I was going to do that blessing. And man, it was so awkward at first. If anybody changed their routine from prayer to blessing, it was this awkward thing where I'm putting my hands on them and they're like, yee, and we're like, yee, and we're just sort of wading through this uncomfortable water, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is this really good? But now, a year later, I'm still doing the blessing. That's one of those things I didn't forget after day 3, although it was super awkward and I wanted to. Now, whenever I'm saying the blessing, my 6-year-old daughter Eden, she'll whisper it along with me. So it's giving a lasting impact there. Do you see what I'm saying? And so we want to create these memories. We want to spend these important times with our children. I remember Scott saying that to be good at something, you need to spend 5,000 to 10,000 hours at it. Think about the life of your children, the lifespan that your children have in your home? How many hours of influence do you have versus how many hours of influence are you choosing to use? Are you hearing me? There's the potential hours, but there's the actual usage that you're doing. So how much time do you spend with those people? Next, what things distract you from those people? What things? What things? What things distract you from those people? This is a beautiful Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, it's a huge distraction. Now, I can say that because I've managed to control my distraction. I'm just kidding. Well, I heard one time, I think it was Jimmy Evans said that this thing is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Isn't it? Now, I'm talking to young people in here because maybe if you're older, you don't have this problem, but maybe you do. I remember one grandparent getting hold of this phone for the first time ever, this smartphone, and off to the races she went. Text messages and this and that. She got a text message conversation going with her sisters, and she's always doing something. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. So some older people, they like this more than others. But I'm specifically speaking to people in my time because this is a really important thing. We cannot be distracted by this ridiculously stupid device. Okay, it says it's smart, but what it is it's stupid. All right, so just think of your phone as stupid from now on. Every time you pick it up, think, I shouldn't be messing with that stupid thing, and put that thing down and invest time in your kids. Hallelujah. All right, so that is what things are distracting you. It doesn't have to be that small screen. Maybe it's a big one you got on the wall. Maybe it's the football or the basketball or the whatever ball, okay? We need to be thinking about the things that are distracting us from our children. We don't turn on the stupid tube until the kids are in bed. Start thinking of your TV as a stupid tube. Ready? Stupid tube. We got a stupid phone, stupid tube. I'm making this up as I go. It feels good. Just go with me. Okay? We don't turn on that stupid thing until after the kids are in bed. Unless they're watching something, and then we use it as a babysitter as we see fit. And that is acceptable practices in our home. What things distract you from these people? I'm talking now about your children. I'm talking about your wife. Are you laying in bed with your spouse, Twittering it up, Facebooking it up, Instagramming it up, CNNing it up, whatever? I hope I'm making sense here. What people distract you from those people? It's not just the things that distract us from our most valuable prized possession. It's other people, isn't it? Sometimes we want to be social. Maybe we want to do something on Saturday night, and the kids are coming up and they're saying, hey, can I have so-and-so over? And we're saying no because we've got plans with so-and-so already. Okay, and then we get there and we have a nice social time, and our kids are just sitting in the corner twiddling their thumbs because they're bored. So what do? We give them a TV to watch so we can continue with our social time. What people are distracting you from the things and the people that you love? All right. So let's go on here to creating memories. How much time do I have? I didn't see anything on the wall there. Loads of time or just? Okay. I got how many? I'm in 45? Where's my updates? Where's my team? There we go. We're going to wrap this up. Creating memories is as simple as a timeout. Taking time out of your schedule. Scheduling memory building. Traditions. Put a name to the things that you're doing. Don't just have family time. Call it family time. I realize that my son Noah, he's 10 years old, and the time that I have with him in my house is actually about maybe 8 to 10 more years. But the time of influence, real influence, I have in my house with him is actually maybe 2 to 4 years from now. Because after he's 14, if he's anything like me, he stops listening to dear old dad. So I've got limited time. So I decided I'm going to have to start having some time with him, one-on-one. I called it man time. That sounds fun, right? Man time. And now on Tuesday nights, sometimes it's not every Tuesday night, but it's when we can, he's now requesting man time. Okay, so put a name to it. Make it memorable. Maybe it's a vacation. collective hobbies. What can we do together as a family? Maybe you like to build puzzles. I love to play Monopoly, so I taught my kids how to play Monopoly. If you like to do something, teach your family how to do it, and then they'll do it with you. You have somebody to play with. Nobody likes to play Monopoly with me anymore, so I taught my kids how to play Monopoly. Hashtag winning. Not always. Abraham did beat me the other night. He beat me and Noah. Dirty, dirty dog. So we stopped playing Monopoly. Memories today lead to memories tomorrow. Think about that. What you're doing with your time today to create memories is going to last into the future. Now, I want to close with talking about dealing with regret. Some of us are dealing with regret. Every day we live with regret. If you've got regret in your life, and it involves a person, maybe you need to spend some time thinking about that, praying about that, and going and talking to that person. I regret something that I did or didn't do. Maybe you're a dad who didn't spend enough time with your children, and you recognize that not because of my amazing seminar, but because you've been thinking and praying about it, and the Holy Spirit's putting that on your heart. Maybe you should go to your kids and just one-on-one have lunch with them and just say, you know, I've been thinking about something, and I just want to tell you that as an adult now, I regret not doing A, B, C, or D. I have this very experience. I remember my sister Shelby and I. We were separated by 6 years of age, and she's a darling redhead, and she came with all the flame and glory redheads come with. And we didn't get along. Imagine that. And so I was thinking about my life, and I was thinking about the time I had as a teenager, and I was thinking I didn't spend quality time with my sister Shelby. I didn't invest in her life. No, I was a stupid teenager, I'll give you that. But I remember one specific night, talk about memory of regret. There was a terrible storm out. Can you imagine that? And she was scared. Can you imagine that? And I was sleeping through this one because I was a stupid teenager and didn't care. And I remember Shelby and I, we used to have a bedroom right across the hall from each other. And she came to my door, and she opened the door, and she woke me up. And she said, Keith, I'm scared. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Go to bed. It's no big deal. And I rolled over and went back to sleep. And I woke up. I don't know how long she stood there, but I woke up a few minutes later, and she was still standing at my door. And I got so mad at her for interrupting my sleep, but I eventually did let her come in and lay down with me. But as an adult now, I think how stupid that was that I was treating her that way. And so just a few months ago, I had dinner with her, just me and her, and I just shared with her some of the regrets that I had as a teenager. And as she's crying, I'm just explaining to her that I felt like I could have been a little bit better of a brother. And I can't change the way I behave, but I can change the way I behave today. Are you hearing me? And so one of the things that we were able to do through that as experiences, we were able to reconnect, and to clear up some of that muddy water that I had created. So if you're living with regret, it's not too late to make an impact on the lives of the people that you've affected, and so I would encourage you to do that. I just want to wrap up by saying this one last thought. Praise Yahweh that He's an Elohim who forgets, isn't it? Thank Yahweh that He doesn't remember the sins of yesterday, but He offers us grace and redemption through the blood of His Son. And so that's what we want to close with tonight, is just giving thanks that He's an Elohim who is able to forget, and He doesn't hold on to the memory of our yesterday.